January 1991. Billion-dollar satellites watch Western Iraq. Scud still hit Tel Aviv. Israel threatens war. The coalition launches over 1,600 strikes on mobile launchers. Fewer than 20 hit anything real. They had the tech. What they needed couldn't be bought. Coalition planners tracked Scud launches in real time, logging every impact in Tel Aviv and every threat to the coalition's fragile unity. Air Force records show over 1,600 airstrikes launched against suspected mobile launchers in western Iraq. Post-war analysis confirmed fewer than 20 real Scud TELS destroyed. The rest were decoys, wood, canvas and hollow metal, constructed to fool billion-dollar sensors. Each failed strike left the Israeli government one step closer to open retaliation, a move that would have shattered Arab participation in the coalition and forced a new war on different terms. The KH-11 satellites, the sharpest eyes in orbit, delivered 30cm resolution in daylight but lost the trail at night. Iraqi crews moved under cover of darkness, hid launchers beneath rock overhangs and parked among civilian traffic. Every intelligence summary from CENTAF battle damage logs repeated the same pattern: strikes triggered by ambiguous signals, confirmation impossible, targets vanished or proved false on post-strike review. The world's most expensive reconnaissance network could not separate a real missile from a painted tarp. In the operations rooms, frustration mounted. The technology had delivered nothing decisive. The coalition's air war was burning through targets and time, but the Scuds kept launching, and every siren in Tel Aviv threatened to end the campaign in a single political misstep. The SAS liaison officer entered the coalition planning room with a proposal that broke every rule of modern doctrine. Four-man teams, no armoured support, no real-time communications, and no fallback, just men on foot, each carrying up to 100 kilograms. The American brigadier listened, then gave his verdict: suicide. The British officer replied exactly, and asked when they could begin. The difference in approach was more than tactical. The average SAS rucksack weighed nearly twice that of a US infantry pack, 85 to 100 kilograms versus 45 kilograms. The extra weight was not just water and ammunition, it was the price of self-reliance in a place where resupply was a fantasy. First-generation GPS units rushed into service, failed within hours as the desert night dropped to -14 degrees Celsius. Batteries died. Circuits drifted. The SAS did not call for help. They pulled out compasses and sextants, charted Orion and the North Star, and kept moving. Celestial navigation was standard in their training, a skill drilled until it was as natural as breathing. In the American command, the idea of navigating by starlight in enemy territory sounded reckless. For the British, it was doctrine. In the cold open desert with no cover and no backup, the SAS accepted the risks others called madness. Headquarters signed off. The plan moved from briefing room theory to boots in the sand. SAS patrols in western Iraq lay hidden, sometimes just 50 meters from Iraqi missile crews. At that range, the difference between a real Scud launcher and a decoy was obvious. Operators spent 18 to 20 hours a day motionless in shallow hides, unable to stand or even shift their weight. Every movement risked discovery. Physiological needs were handled in plastic bags, kept beside the body for hours. The discipline required went beyond discomfort. It was a test of will and focus repeated day after day. From this distance, the human eye could read more than shapes. Colonel Michael Asher, drawing on declassified Ministry of Defense reports, wrote that a camera sees a silhouette, but a person sees intention. SAS troopers watched for the subtle cues, the way a crew clustered around a vehicle, the sequence of checks before fueling, the tension in a man's posture when a real launch was imminent. No satellite, no algorithm could make that call in 1991. Patrol reports describe decoys scattered across the desert, wooden frames under tarps, painted to fool a camera from 1,000 meters. At 50 meters, the illusion fell apart. SAS identified fakes in minutes where airstrikes had wasted hundreds of munitions. The work was slow, silent, and relentless. The ultimate sensor was a man in the dirt, close enough to hear the enemy breathe, close enough to know the difference between a threat and a shadow. Iraqi planners scattered 22 decoys across the western desert, wooden frames, metal shells and painted tarps, each built to mimic the outline of a real Scud launcher from the air. Coalition strike logs show that these decoys drew hundreds of sorties and consumed vast amounts of ordnance. From orbit, the difference between a hollow mock-up and a live missile vehicle vanished. Only ground teams could separate the real from the false. Ministry of Defense records declassified in 2005 attribute the destruction of 26 to 32 genuine mobile launchers to SAS directed operations. The teams responsible numbered about 120 men, working in small patrols, relying on line-of-sight confirmation before calling in airstrikes. Every confirmed kill required a human sensor close enough to read intent, not just shape. The official decoy tally stands at 22, with post-war analysis confirming that most air-delivered munitions hit these fakes. SAS's ability to filter targets on the ground turned a statistical black hole into actionable intelligence, shifting the outcome from guesswork to verified results. The numbers remain stark: 1,600 airstrikes, fewer than 20 confirmed kills by technology alone, but up to 32 launchers destroyed through direct ground verification. In Kandahar, 1999, Derek Holloway watched 4 British soldiers prepare for a night patrol. Their packs were heavier than his own, their weapons older, their navigation gear little more than a compass and a map. Holloway had passed Ranger School, served in the Balkans, and qualified for JSOC. He stood bent under a 78-pound load. What caught him was not the weight, it was the silence and confidence of men who trusted themselves more than any system. Later, Holloway put it plainly, the gap was not in technology or equipment. They were worse armed than us. The gap was in the head. For him, this was not about national pride or budget lines. It was about a kind of readiness that no procurement cycle could buy. The lesson stayed with him. When everything else failed, mindset decided who crossed the line and who turned back. Selection for the SAS demands 12 to 18 months of testing, with only 10 to 15% passing. Those numbers hold even in wartime. The American Special Operations budget in the early 2000s reached $13 billion a year. Despite that gap, the core doctrine of the SAS was self-reliance, navigation by stars and field craft. It remained unchanged from the desert to Afghanistan. The question lingers: how much capability can be bought and how much must be built? Today, militaries spend billions on technology. Yet Holloway's admission stands: the real gap is in the head. Readiness is doctrine, discipline and mindset, never just the kit.